here. My dog, you look good. I'm gonna give you this one. I look good. I'm gonna give you this one. You took a leap of faith. You tried a different color that's not on the Roy G. Biv color spectrum.
Okay.
And what is it? Something favors a bold. I forgot to say.
Fortune?
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah,
Swag Wars does as well.
You trying to overtalk the fact that ain't it.
Not today. Still look good. Watch your mouth.
Young Bishop in training over there. All right, let's get it started with Aaron Rodgers. He dominated the 49ers last night with 4 touchdown passes. During the win, he joined Tom Brady as the only players to throw at least 24 touchdowns with 2 or fewer interceptions in the first 8 games of the season. And Rodgers only trails MVP frontrunner Russell Wilson in touchdowns this season. So, Acho, is Aaron Rodgers the biggest threat to Russell Wilson for the MVP?
Man, absolutely. I'm glad Aaron Rodgers had a pick-me-up kind of game. Not that he was bad the week before against the Vikings, because Rodgers was actually great, but they lost, so the Packers needed to be picked up.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, Marcellus, 7 touchdowns, no picks over the last 2 games against the Vikings and yesterday against the 49ers. That's good football.
That is ball.
Aaron Rodgers is not only the biggest threat to Russell Wilson, but I might go on a limb by next week to say that Aaron Rodgers will win the MVP. But for this week, let me stay in my lane.
Okay.
When I think about it, I look at Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. I look at those 4 gentlemen. But then, Marcellus, my first layer, I'm going to go ahead and get deep on you. Tom Brady, he has bigger fish to fry. He's not worried about an MVP. He's worried about other hardware. He's worried about winning a Super Bowl, worried about proving that it is him, not Bill Belichick. Patrick Mahomes, they paid him $450 million. Not to win an MVP. He got bigger fish to fry. They're talking a dynasty. They want to win not 1, not 2, not 3, 5, 6, 7 chips. Okay. That's what Patrick Mahomes and his receivers have said. But now you look at Russell Wilson, all he's talked about this season. I don't just want to vote. I want to win the whole dang thing. Let Russ cook. Aaron Rodgers, he realizes, he looks around, y'all ain't give me much as on defense, so I don't know if I can win the whole thing. But what can I do when you go out here and you trade up and draft a first-round quarterback? Yeah. What can I do? I can still show y'all that I'm that dude and I can win MVP. When I look at the individual motivation, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, I think, are the 2 players that are more focused on winning that individual award as opposed to the other 2 players who got bigger fish to fry. I do think it is exclusively Aaron Rodgers if anybody's going to challenge Russell Wilson.
Man. Disagree with you right there. Look, I can't hot take this one. Aaron Rodgers is in the conversation, certainly by his production, by his performance so far this year. But you spend a lot of time talking about the people that are actually in front of Aaron Rodgers as a threat to Russell Wilson. You told on yourself. You know that, right? I heard a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes. Why are you bringing him up if we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson? You know why? Because you know he's in the conversation actually in front of Aaron Rodgers. And you say, well, what's his motivation? Here, he got $450 million. He has bigger fish to fry. I don't know about your plate, but I got big fish on my plate, little fish on my plate. I got some veggies, I got some sides, whatever I need to eat. But remember, in part, you get $450 million because you already have an MVP on your resume. Having another one never hurts. You talk about the motivation of Tom Brady. You got bigger fish to fry. Do I? Being 43 and winning another MVP, will that shut some of the critics, naysayers, those who said I was a system quarterback with Bill Belichick, would that shut some of them up? I think it would. But let me beat up your argument in terms of Aaron Rodgers. There are 2 things that's going to disqualify him from winning the MVP. One is the team, they have to be better. And 2 is the fact that he needs to finish better. Let's start with the team. Since 2013, 5 of the 7 MVPs have been number 1 seeds. Only 2 exceptions as a 2 seed. Matt Ryan when he won with the Falcons. And then let's go back to A-Rod when he won in 2014. But that was a tiebreaker for the best record, so they were really number 1 in record. Other than that, you got to be number 1 if you're going to get this. Where are they right now? Oh, man, in the NFC, they're number 3. Seattle and Tampa Bay. In the AFC, it's Pittsburgh, and it's the Chiefs. Didn't say the Packers in that. So the team, they have to play better. The MVP has changed, it's morphed in terms of what you're looking for in terms of criteria for the voters. Also, let's look at Aaron Rodgers. As he goes throughout the season, usually starts hot. And this is a myth about Aaron Rodgers, especially of late, that when he's at home in Lambeau in the cold, that's when he really shows out. Not according to the numbers right here. Rodgers' win percentage in November, December, and January in the last 2 years, just 52%. His passer rating goes from, where is it now, 117, down to 94. Oh, so Russell Wilson goes from hot to lukewarm as the season progresses, but Aaron Rodgers actually goes from hot to cold, opening up an opportunity for Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady to save the day.
I like your take, but
it was great. It was phenomenal.
This is going to be one of those years, Marcellus, where there's not a clear front runner. Last year, Lamar Jackson, we knew by about week 11, week 12, he was taking off with the MVP.
Okay.
Year before, Patrick Mahomes, we really knew by about week 10, week 11, he's going to get 50 touchdowns. He's taking off with the MVP. This year, I think it's going to be a tight race. So what's it going to come down to? Style points. A college term, typically.
Yeah,
how much can you outscore your opponent by to make it to a bowl game? But it might come down to style points. So while you make an argument, the same argument you're making can be undermining itself. A catch-22, what do I mean?
Let's go.
If the Bucs are running away with the division, right? If the Bucs have the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Packers,
that works.
You get to week 17 and that game is now meaningless. You want to know who's going to sit? The 43-year-old Tom Brady against the Atlanta Falcons, who also would probably have nothing to play for in week 17. If the Packers are still playing to win their division, week 17 against the Chicago Bears is what it looks like. You want to know who's not going to sit?
Who's going to be going full throttle?
Aaron Rodgers going full throttle. So I think this is going to come down to the little things. It looks like the Kansas City Chiefs or they still going to have a lot to play for because the Steelers right now are in that 1 seed. But when I really look at Aaron Rodgers, he has individual goals to prove.
Okay.
Say what you will, bro.
Right.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes is as concerned this year with winning an MVP as winning a Super Bowl.
But does that correlate, like, your concern level to you actually acquiring the trophy?
When
a lot of people want it.
When I think it does is when I think it does because I do think week 17, Aaron Rodgers, I think he sat earlier on when he won the MVP, one of his prior 2 MVPs. I don't see Aaron Rodgers sitting. Russell Wilson, for example.
Okay.
You know good and gosh darn well.
You about to
Russell Wilson, he is not coming out of a game this year if he don't have to.
No,
Even if he has to, he's just going to be like, hey, you know what? I'll hand the ball off, Pete. I promise you I will. Hey, check. DK, run this go route. Like, Russell Wilson has talked about wanting to win this award. So when I say care, that emotional care, I think will play itself out onto the field.
Well, you just said something, and I want to put it in a frame and expose it. You said it's going to come down to the little things. Little things like how you finish, right? In every race, it's not how you start.
It's how you finish.
How you finish. Aaron Rodgers, how do you usually finish the season? I told you the last 2 years. Look at this passer rating of his 94 in the last 2 years in November, December, January. You know who has a better passer rating than Aaron Rodgers in those last 3 months of the season? Baker Mayfield. Is that going to help you win MVP if you're not playing as well as Baker Mayfield by passer rating? What about Derek Carr? Oh, my God. Kirk Cousins, all guys who have better performances November, December, January, the last 2 years. Aaron Rodgers needs to pick that up. You say it's about the little things. I love that frame. Love this picture inside of it. Because if it's about the little things, when you think of